A new day, new doubts in the United States. 4 months before presidential elections, the Democrats are not sure about their candidate. Joe Biden is finding his corner increasingly empty, with more and more Democrats asking him to step aside. But you can only stonewall so much when it comes to money. Democratic donors have warned that funding for the November election campaign is quote-unquote drying up, all because Joe Biden is refusing to step aside. Several high-profile Biden supporters, like Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings, hotel mogul Stewart Bainum Jr. and actor George Clooney, have explicitly asked Biden to give up. The incumbent has some breathing room because the Congressional Black Caucus and Hispanic caucuses have offered their support, at least so far. Campaign fundraising does not guarantee political success in US, but it is crucial to keep the multi-million-dollar advertising campaigns and ground operations going, especially in the swing states. Things that Biden needs even more after the presidential debate performance. And speaking of support, Biden's claim that only party elites want him to step aside is being proven wrong. The Washington Post, ABC News and Ipsos poll did a survey. It shows most Democrats nationwide want their president to not run again. Let's look at these numbers now. The question was, should Joe Biden step aside from re-election? 67%, that's 2/3 of Americans, say that he should step aside and make way for someone else in the blue camp. When it comes to registered Democrats, the number slightly dips to 62%. And among those who have been a supporter of the incumbent, Joe Biden specifically, the number slides to 54%. Now, with support wavering, funds drying up and voters growing more skeptical, Joe Biden's team is in a cleanup mode. The president sat down for an interview, but that didn't do the trick. He will now hold a press conference after an 8-month dry spell. This also comes after it came to light that only Richard Nixon and Donald Reagan have held fewer news conferences each year as Joe Biden. The fact is that Joe Biden is old. He's over 80 years old and running for office. If we do a quick average of all US presidents entering office, it comes to 55 years. Joe Biden is 81 and Donald Trump is 78. Whoever it might be, mental and physical fitness is a basic ask by the voters from the President of the United States. All right, to take this further, we are being joined by Adele Nazarian. She's joining us live from Washington, D.C. She's a senior media fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy. Ms. Nazarian, thank you so much for joining us here on WION. Good to see you. So now we see that the donors are asking him to step down. We see that the voice is growing within the Democratic camp, and as well the voter polls that we are seeing nowadays, even they are saying that Joe Biden should step aside and make way for someone else. I want to ask you, what is Joe Biden's red line?
Great to be with you. I don't think there is a red line. I think that what we're seeing here is he's not fully aware of what he himself is capable of doing and not doing, because the people pulling the strings behind the scene are his wife, First Lady Jill Biden, and believe it or not, his son, Hunter. And considering the amount of information that's come to light recently of the illegal activities that have occurred within that family network, it seems there are no red lines, that the law doesn't apply to them. And so I think they're going to triple down, quadruple down, and do whatever it takes to keep him in his position. And unfortunately, I just hope his health doesn't continue to suffer as a result of this.
Right. We are a little over 10 days from the presidential debate. We saw what panned out, and Joe Biden has been at least attempting to do a cross correction, if we may. But still, Joe Biden has held his ground and said that I will not step aside. I'm not going anywhere. What is it that the Democrats within the camp still feel the need to voice their opinion and say, no, you should step down?
You know, I think that the campaign performance during the last debate, as you said, 10 days previously ago, was just enough to show that he's not capable of running the country. And what shocks me most is just a few days before that debate, you had George Clooney and other stars, rolling out the red carpet in California with President Barack Obama, and just raising tens of millions of dollars for his campaign, if not more. And they had a face-to-face interaction with President Biden, and they clearly could see he was not capable of running the country in the capacity he should in his current state. So I think it's quite hypocritical that now, only after the rest of America can actually see the truth, they're reversing course a few days later and saying and making calls for him to step down. It's utter hypocrisy. I think it's par for the course for what this party has done. And I don't think that there's enough time, frankly, to turn this around.
Right.
I don't think there's enough time for yeah.
Ms. Nazarin, very quickly, there's a latest poll that we were just reading where it says that Kamala Harris might have a better chance against Donald Trump. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a very tough one. I have to say, I've met Vice President Harris back in California. She's obviously a very, very book smart lady, very well read. I just don't think she has quite the charisma to capture the audience in the way that, let's say, a Donald Trump or other people would be able to. And when it comes down to it, if it's between her and him, I really think that the envelope is going to lean a little bit more towards Donald Trump. She's not as likable, unfortunately. And I think everyone has to come to their senses and realize it's not about what gender you are. It's not about any of that. It's about who's going to be the better candidate for the job. Right. And I think the Democratic Party has to really think of what and who the best alternative is for them to really secure a victory in November. It doesn't seem like it's her.
All right, Ms. Nazarin, thank you so much for joining us here on WION. Good to speak to you.
Thank you. Likewise.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.